Just to catch everyone up, about 6 months ago YMS went after Critical Drinker, and in my opinion it didn't exactly go well.
I haven't watched this, but I found myself being interested enough to like do any kind of commentary on this guy, even though I haven't done it before, because of the fact that he showed up on Russell Brand, which sort of kind of reinforces my initial thought about him, is that he's showing up on what is really a political, anti-vax, conspiracy, grifting platform, and he's showing up as this guy like, so this is the title. So this is why movies are shit now with the Critical Drinker. It's like, okay, well, this is kind of what I experienced anecdotally when I, met somebody who was essentially just eating up a bunch of conspiracy anti-vax content, like weird, like New World Order, George Soros, maybe not explicitly saying it, but pretty much saying it content. This is not a movie review channel, and he's being featured on it. And so I just thought that this was interesting enough to at least see what the fuck it is. So let's see what this is.
Out of you talked about Russell Brand here, how Drinker showed up on the Russell Brand, how Russell Brand is a conspiracy theorist and anti-vax and stuff like that. This is weird, but if Russell Brand reached out to you and said, "Hey, I want to talk to you about movies," would you go on and talk to him about movies?
I'm not sure. Probably.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
All right. So,
but he has his interviews are very very non-confrontational and leading. He kind of like, we'll see as it goes along.
So
I'm actually shocked that he asked some genuine questions at certain points, but
all right.
There's like a part of him that comes through at points.
Because I was going to say that if Russell Brand invited me, I would totally go on. But if he was to be like, "Did you know the Earth is flat?" I'd be like, "What the fuck are you talking about, mate?"
My criticism.
Truth.
I want to make clear, it's not a criticism of the Critical Drinker to have accepted going on to Russell Brand's show. I was mentioning that it's a reflection of the audience crossover that he would be invited there in the first place, right? It's a observation of the sort of audience. The same thing I was talking about earlier.
Very interesting. Go on, I'm listening.
What would you consider yourself politically if you had to ascribe a label?
If I had to ascribe a label, I would say left, but like it's just I'm upset that like every label is so loaded at this point that yeah, no, your chat's thinking I'm a centrist. I don't.
Please, oh god, please don't look at them. They're so reactive. I know. One word at a time.
I like looking at chat, but I don't know. I consider myself like politically on the left, but maybe like philosophically, like more center. If that makes sense.
I think we should do it. Use your hands and take the cock and just stroke it until he comes. He'll think it's from a horse with these hooves. He'll never know.
Broadly, I mean, if you're consuming content from, for example, Kyle Kalinske, you're probably like generally familiar with social democracy platforms. Yeah.
He's not getting hard.
Like an Obama.
Use my mouth.
Right, like a progressive centrist.
I mean, by American standards, he's
getting hard? No.
I wouldn't say, like, I don't know.
Tim, Eric, stop, guys. Eric, stop. You're not a horse.
So time has passed, wounds have mended, and Adam totally isn't bitter about it at all.
If you don't support this movie, you're a pedophile. And just how everybody fell in line. Fucking Ben Shapiro, Critical Drinker, etc. Just like everybody got their fucking cue card. Why would you not like the movie? It sounds like you're a pedophile, Tim Pool. Sounds like you're probably a pedophile if you don't like the movie. Perhaps conservatives liked this because it helped them imagine or inspired them to go to a website where they can select little children to have sex with. If you don't like this movie, you're a pedophile, actually. Why would you say anything bad about this movie? Unless you're a pedophile. Quote, Tim Pool and Critical Drinker. And I'm not making that up. That's essentially what they said. It's basically verbatim. Why would you not like the movie unless you're a pedophile? At which point you have to assume that they're pedophiles, right? Like, at which point you have to assume, like, if that's how your brain operates. Like, literally, like, how the fuck can you say that out loud unless you're a pedophile? Literally. We'll see. Give it 10, 20 years. Maybe they'll get some Charlie Kirk. It might have been Charlie Kirk instead of Tim Pool. I might have been wrong on the Tim Pool thing. Charlie Kirk definitely said that. Am I making things up? For sure, Critical Drinker and Charlie Kirk. For sure. Those two are confirmed. People, it's so crazy how like much of a bubble someone can get in where they don't realize that they're like, whoop! Just off to the side being like a caricature of themselves. Don't see anything particularly fucking weird about it. Okay. Damn, why do so many religious people believe in conspiracy theories? Why is that? Why do you think that is? Why is there such a huge crossover? It's so fucking funny how manipulative it is, and it's even funnier how easily the manipulation worked. You have to understand, there's a reason why people like Candace Owens go into the career of grifting. Is because it's fucking easy. Right? Like, all you have to do is just say buzzwords. Like, it's so easy to understand what you people want to hear on like a very basic level. This bitch was talking about like fucking sexism and race. She had lawsuits against sexism and racism, and then like fucking 2 years later said that they don't exist. Grifter to the extreme. She's convinced so many fucking people. She's convinced so many fucking people. Oh, you're going to get raped. This is great. Candace, like, there's a reason why so many people get into that as a business. Completely knowing that what they're saying is not true, but saying it because it's so fucking easy. Like, if you have no moral compass and you're just like, hey, you know, I want to make money. Pull a Dave Rubin. Pull a Candace Owens. You know? Like, there's a very... There's a very clear trajectory for these people. Candace Owens, she knows that what she's saying is bullshit. She doesn't have any real beliefs. That's like proven. She's on the Daily Wire. She gets a career doing it because they're like, oh yeah, you can say the things that people want to hear because it's obvious what people want to hear. A particular type of person on the right wing, right? It's just absolute inauthenticity. Like this is why it's so difficult to hear people like the Critical Drinker and Charlie Kirk say, if you have anything bad to say about this movie, then you must be a pedophile. I don't know why you would try to say that this movie's bad unless you're a pedophile. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Like that should be like the end of anyone's credibility. Is just saying, not only recommending a movie where it's like, okay, you got the cue because of your political pundits telling you, or like, oh, you got the cue because of like, oh, what you think your audience capture is like. It's not just that. It's you saying, oh, why would you say anything wrong about this movie unless you're a pedophile? I don't know why you would try to say this movie's bad unless you're a pedophile. That should discredit you from any conversation ever about art. Because you're not watching it for art, obviously. Obviously, you don't watch these things for art. It's not about art for you, obviously. Like, holy shit. It's so embarrassing. It's infinitely embarrassing. Jesus Christ. What is media to you? Just parroting your political ideas? That's it? Not even your political ideas, but like films that people who share your political ideas have shared. It's so funny. Holy shit. Oh my god. The people that fall for this shit so hook, line, and sinker is so fucking pathetic. It's not wrong to like this movie, but to like parrot that shit. If you're not supporting this, you must be a pedophile. You're probably a pedophile. Why would you not support this unless you're a pedophile? Unless you're trying to stop people from understanding that people are pedophiles. Without this movie, people wouldn't understand pedophiles exist, bro. Before this movie, people didn't even know pedophilia was a problem. I didn't. I find it infinitely fucking hilarious that the same people that will just like take the cue, like, ooh, I've heard what my master has said for me to say. I've heard what my audience has wanted me to say about this film, either my audience or like the other political pundits that share the same audience. So I'm going to parrot the exact same information, the exact same things, and even repeat the lines like, oh, why would you have a problem with this movie unless you're a pedophile? Those exact same people call other people sheep. They call other people NPCs, and they say that other people don't form their opinions based on real things, and they only go with what other people are saying. Those are the people that say those sorts of things. Isn't that fucking insane? Isn't that fucking crazy? People said that if you don't like this, you're a pedophile. Charlie Kirk and the Critical Drinker said that if you don't like this, you're a pedophile. Oh my god. That's so embarrassing. Because it wasn't a whole like, oh, this is the movie the liberals don't want you to see. Because the liberals are Jews and pedophiles. Why would you not like the movie unless you're a pedophile, bro? Why would you have anything bad to say about the movie unless you're a pedophile, bro? Dude, you're the same people. You're so much worse. You're so much worse than the people that said you're racist if you don't like Precious. That was like a small amount of people. My review was able to like get good reception, right? Like that was my first video ever. I don't like I would be so fucking embarrassed. I would be so fucking embarrassed to say publicly, especially, like, yes, the film, the piece of art that I am told to like by the people on my political spectrum that have largely made up my audience because I make largely political content, even though I may or may not admit it, my content is largely political. The film that is gaining headway right now, yes. If you don't like this, you're probably a pedophile. I don't know why you would have anything negative to say about this unless you want to see the children or anything because of the message. The message behind the film. The message behind the film. It's the message that's important, not the art. Obviously the message, not the art. It's fucking embarrassing. Legit. Come on. Does anybody have the timestamp in my Critical Drinker Russell Brand thing where like he talks about this movie? Because I'm pretty sure he literally says like, well, why would you say anything bad about it if you're not a pedophile? Timestamp for that and the Charlie Kirk one. Critical Drinker and Charlie Kirk. Those are the two names I keep bringing up. Because it's an insane position. Right? If you're talking about art, that's fucking unacceptable. Not only unacceptable, but like weird that your friends aren't also like, not even willing to acknowledge that that's like kind of an L take. It's so boring. Like, no, I don't even believe that the Critical Drinker liked this. I don't even believe he liked this. I don't even believe he liked it. Like it's so obviously just like, oh yeah, this is the thing I'm supposed to like. Like, come on. When you're saying things like, oh, if you don't like it, you're probably a pedophile. Come on. So is anybody actively searching for that quote for me? Just let me know that you're doing that, because otherwise I'm going to have to after this video. It's in my YMS highlights Critical Drinker video. Like, yeah, honestly, like, if you're... come on, like... when was his channel made? Like, if he started making YouTube content like 2 years ago, then maybe I'll forgive him. But like, if you've been around like more than 2 years, then that's kind of fucking embarrassing. Joined YouTube September 2006. Oldest video 11 years ago, August 2012. So that's kind of embarrassing. A lot of people who didn't watch my original video but are commenting on it is that I was very fucking fair and very open-minded to what Critical Drinker was saying. And I know that a lot of people were coming in with certain prejudices against his content, and I thought that I was very fair and open-minded. And I agreed with a lot of what he said about certain subjects. And, damn, really? Stockman's movie's coming out this year, too? It's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. And again, remember, I'm not talking about people that like the movie. I'm talking about people that have stated publicly that if you have a problem with the movie, you're a pedophile. Like, that should revoke your license to be talking about art ever. Come on. How could you say that? You're literally just like, you have a copy paste brain. You're an NPC. You heard something that somebody else said and you repeated it. You're an NPC. I'm sorry. You're not a real person. You heard your orders and you repeated them. This is nuts. Look, I'm a critical drinker. I'm watching this critically while drinking, is what I'm doing. Dangling keys. It's dangling keys. That's it. It's so obvious and boring. Holy fuck. This personally, like, come on. Is it a coincidence that when I had that conversation with like Mahler and co that they hadn't seen this movie? Is it a coincidence, or did they also kind of know that this is like a bullshit movie? Like, did they also kind of know that this is like a dumb movie? And that it would be kind of embarrassing for them to defend this with him, right? Like, right? Do they feel the same way about this or no? Come on. It's pretty, like, they've talked so many times about dangling keys. They know exactly what that is, and that's exactly what this is. Hey, Spittersaurus, I'm not claiming that they agree with all of their guests' opinions. All I'm saying is that the intention of the stream that they were on with me talking about the critical drinker, like the whole basis was defending him, right? And it would look very embarrassing if they had watched the film. I agree. Too bad Drinker wasn't on that stream. It would have been much better if I had a conversation with him instead of people like trying to make up his intentions and like trying to defend him in ways that like maybe even he wouldn't have, and trying to like imagine what he was trying to say. Like that was a weird, dumb idea for a stream. Well, yeah, it's not just like defending people uncritically. It's the idea of like defending a point so hard when it's really meaningless, right? Which is why there's a concession for so much of it, is just like, oh, like, of course that's not worth arguing. But for a certain type of person, it's like every single minute point is worth arguing forever about, and that's when you get exhausted, which is why like a person like me or like Destiny will just go like, oh, okay. Is when it's like, what's the point after a certain. It's like you've argued over the same point for like 20 minutes. It's like, oh, okay. These people are not only don't understand what I'm saying, but they're not capable of understanding what I'm saying. Then it's like, okay, well, kind of just let it go. How easily manipulated can you be? Imagine the same scene, but it's like, oh, I'm just trans and I got my surgery. I'm just so trans and I just so totally got my bottom surgery right now. Oh, and then you got like this guy. He's like, I was trying to stop them. I was trying to stop them anti-trans folk from stopping the trans surgery. He rescued a trans person from getting kidnapped from not getting the surgery. And then he's like, oh, I guess shed the single tear here. Oh my God. And he stares deeply into the person's eyes who's trans. And they're like, oh, I got my surgery. Oh. And then you watch this and you go like, oh, I don't know why you would think that anything's wrong with this movie unless you hate trans people. Why would you wouldn't say anything bad about this movie unless you think that trans people are bad. Blah. What is art? What is art? I think art is only political. Go fuck yourselves, honestly. Imagine the inverse. Imagine how fucking stupid you are. Imagine how fucking it started, renegade, regarded you are. Imagine that for 1 fucking second. You have no fucking clue what you are. You have no idea. You have no self-awareness. I hate you. You are so fucking stupid.
We saved the trans person from the people that didn't want them to be trans.
Imagine the marketing campaign.
Oh, the conservatives didn't want you to see this movie. The conservatives didn't want you to see this movie.
And then imagine you go on your fucking YouTube channel. Imagine you go like Charlie Kirk. You go and you're like,
the conservatives didn't want you to see this movie because didn't want you to know that you could be trans.
That's how fucking absolutely regarded you are. And you don't even understand it. It's insane. Like, it's pathetic how easily manipulated you are. It's absolutely fucking pathetic. It's sad. Absolutely fucking sad. What is wrong with you? This is pathetic. It's depressing. What the fuck? You absolutely know that if it were like same film, opposite political persuasion. Like, oh, they're trying to stop me from being twins. Exact same artistic merit. Oh, here we go. It's, oh my God, really, Charlie Kirk and the Critical Drinker, really? Like, oh, if you don't like it, you're probably a pedophile? Come on. Why would you say that out loud in public on recorded video? That's insane. That's a very crazy thing to say. Come on. Oh, yeah. Why would you admit that? Why would you say that? Why would you just admit that you're like literally looking for the cue? Like, oh yeah, audience capture. That's fun. It wasn't like parts of it were competent, but like holy fucking like really? This is the movie? This is the movie that you're going to say like, "Oh, if you didn't like it, you're a pedophile."
So yeah, I think it's fair to say that YMS is a bit miffed at Drinker, and that's the focus of this video. More specifically, the 2 statements that Drinker made that YMS has a problem with. Now because this involves 2 big YouTubers, and because they are seemingly on 2 sides of the political aisle, and because The Sound of Freedom is a film marred in controversy, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of trash talking in the comments. One side saying The Sound of Freedom is dog shit. Key jangling, trite trash only brain-dead Bible-thumping morons would like. It's a scam, and it's definitely alt-right QAnon propaganda. Jim Caviezel is a washed-up nutjob, and the Critical Drinker is an NPC grifter far-right idiot, who panders to conspiracy-brained alt-righters who get their news from Rumble and BitChute. And the other side saying YMS is a deranged leftist who jerks it to Lion King porn, that he's a snobby, pretentious douchebag, and there's a reason why his main channel has 1 million subs, and his secondary channel only has 77k. Because the only way you can tolerate his personality that is a black hole of charisma is when his videos are highly produced. As well as, I'm sure,
if you have anything bad to say about this movie, then you must be a pedophile. I don't know why you would try to say that this movie's bad unless you're a pedophile.
No, I can't stop you from saying that, because you're all autonomous individuals, and I'm just small potatoes. But the fact is, all of that shit is irrelevant. The only thing in this video I'm contesting is the interpretation of what YMS thinks Critical Drinker said. And while I understand why YMS interpreted the way he did, I think it's wrong. So let's get into it, starting with Drinker's first statement.
Hey, Will, what do you think's happening around Sound of Freedom? What do they object to? Because I've heard, what it is Sound of Freedom. Because someone told me about it a little while ago. A friend of mine actually said, you've got to see this movie, and asked me if I would support it, which I plan to do. But I've subsequently seen people say, it's connected to QAnon, and it's a conspiracy theory movie. But of course, the plot of the movie is about a former Homeland Security agent who's rescuing children from child sex trafficking. What's the issue with that, Will? Why is it caused such controversy?
I mean, honestly, you'd think it'd be a no-brainer. Like, I think we can all come to the same conclusion that children being sold into child sex trafficking is a terrible thing and should absolutely be stopped at any cost. And so a movie about trying, a main hero who's trying to prevent that and trying to rescue children from the most horrifying situations imaginable, wow, that should be the sort of thing that you should really have no qualms about supporting. And
a movie about that is really something you should have no qualms about supporting, is what he said. A movie is something that you should have no qualms about supporting? That merely the subject matter is something that you should support? That's insane! That's insane! A movie's about child sex trafficking, therefore you should have no qualms about supporting it? Make sure that we because what it's about, not about the filmmaking? You person talking about films?
the fact that so many people in the mainstream media are against this, wow, it really makes me question what their values are. I do not understand it at all.
Yeah, I don't, because look, we're all familiar now with like the Jeffrey Epstein.
If people don't like a film, it makes me question what their values are.
You're parroting the shit. You're just parroting what other right-wing people are saying.
This is such it's literally precious shit. It's literally if you were on the left, and you were in 2009 and you got the memo that Precious is the movie that you're supposed to support, you would say like, "Oh, you're racist because you don't like Precious." You're not real. You're not a real person. You're not making opinions based on what you think about movies. You got the memo politically. That's the issue. Gigantic NPC shit. Oh my god. Like, holy fuck. Were you just like waiting for the cue?
I don't think that's the right interpretation. He's talking about the media outlets that condemn the film as a conspiracy theory, alt-right QAnon propaganda. He's talking about the conversation around the Sound of Freedom that is political. He's talking about the discourse, not the film itself. If he wanted to say you should support the film, or that you have to, why didn't he just say that? If he really is the right-winger YMS seems to think he is, if he really is an NPC grifter who has been audience captured, why be so secretive about it? Why give negative and tepid reviews to Daily Wire films? Why give positive reviews to Prey, Arcane, Blue-Eyed Samurai, and Everything Everywhere All at Once? As well as other films many would consider progressive. Why have guests and interviews with people of all types of political persuasions? Unlike YMS, who almost exclusively has guests on his channel and Sardonicast that lean left, what does he have to gain by being so secretive? I could see if he wanted to parlay his YouTube success into Hollywood like Chris Stuckman, but he's already ripped most of the big budget Hollywood films that have come out in the last decade. So that bridge seems to be burned. So what is the upside to conceal his true thoughts when it's far easier not to? Especially for so long. I mean, he's been making videos a little over a decade, as well as all the podcasts and interviews he's done. And yet no one seems to know exactly what his true political persuasion is. It seems the Occam's razor conclusion that he's either a centrist or not interested in talking purely politics. But what do I know? Anyway, instead of just coming out and saying you must support the film, instead he said you should have no qualms about supporting it, which YMS had a hard time with, which I understand. Sometimes certain words seem synonymous with another. But no qualms means that you don't have to worry that it will be wrong. Same as saying you shouldn't have misgivings, reservations, doubts, worries, concerns, anxiety, or reluctance in supporting the film. That is different than saying you must like something. Could Drinker have worded it better? Yes. But to be fair, it was an interview, not a video from Drinker. It's only a brief moment and Adam really pounces on him for this. Then there's the review Drinker did.
What's almost as interesting as the movie itself is the reaction it seems to have provoked from the mainstream media that seemed determined to tear it down at any cost. I mean, you'd think a movie that sheds light on the hidden nightmare of child trafficking would be a pretty admirable cause worthy of support, but apparently not for the people who applauded Cuties as a bold piece of artistic expression. Why don't they want this movie to succeed? Why is Hollywood so defensive about it? It almost gets you thinking, doesn't it?
Again, I can see where YMS can take what Drinker said and think he said,
if you have anything bad to say about this movie, then you must be a pedophile. I don't know why you would try to say that this movie's bad unless you're a pedophile.
But again, he's talking about the mainstream media and the discourse around The Sound of Freedom, not the film itself.
What's almost as interesting as the movie itself is the reaction it seems to have provoked from the mainstream media.
He's not talking about the artistic merits of the film. Then there's the images.
Why don't they want this movie to succeed? Why is Hollywood so defensive about it? It almost gets you thinking, doesn't it?
The same Hollywood that covered for Weinstein for years. I mean, it was practically an open secret.
Congratulations, you 5 ladies no longer have to pretend to be attracted to Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein's alleged sexual misconduct has been an open secret in Hollywood for decades. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. One of them is definitely the power dynamic. He is a person who had a lot of power, and the women who claimed to be his victims usually did not. They were at the start of their careers. They maybe didn't feel like they had a recourse to talk about it. There was a sense that there wouldn't necessarily be any accountability for somebody of Harvey Weinstein's stature.
And the same for...
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. And I had it all 3 years ago.
Drinker is pointing out the hypocrisy of Hollywood and mainstream media covering for them for years. But then The Sound of Freedom comes out and they get up in arms about it. It's funny that YMS will point out the grifters on the right, and how it's so easy to just say things you don't believe for money, and just appeal to your base and be partisan and be audience captured. Or the NPCs that believe everything the right-wing media tells them. And that Drinker is also an NPC who liked Sound of Freedom because he was supposed to. Yet when Drinker says there is the exact same thing on the left, apparently that is out of pocket. So to sum up what I believe Drinker is saying, he is saying he doesn't understand the discourse around the film, that has turned political and toxic despite the film itself not warranting it at all, because the subject matter and message is not something that should be controversial. Then points out the hypocrisy of mainstream media and Hollywood unfairly bashing the film, despite them covering for people like Weinstein for years, and praising films like Cuties. Now you can disagree all you want with that opinion, but the question is, do you honestly think if you ask Drinker point blank, am I allowed to not like a movie with a righteous message? Do you seriously think Drinker would say, absolutely not. If the message is good, then you have to like it. Even if the execution is dog shit, from the acting all the way down to the sound mixing. And the same goes if you ask Drinker if you don't like The Sound of Freedom, does that make me a
pedophile?
Do you sincerely believe Drinker would say that? Yes, you are definitely a PDF file if you don't like The Sound of Freedom, and should go straight into the wood chipper. Now go away now. Come on, man. Look, I get it. You hated The Sound of Freedom. You hated all the BS politics around it. You hated that people made what you consider a turd into some kind of righteous cause, and think that if you watch this that means you're gonna bring down sex traffickers. You hate the fact that Drinker liked it, and you thought that he said,
if you have anything bad to say about this movie, then you must be a pedophile. I don't know why you would try to say that this movie's bad unless you're a pedophile.
I get it, and I really wish Drinker would have been on that EFAP to clarify this. I wish through the power of the internet and social media you could talk, and confirm that is what he meant. But of course that's impossible in 2024. Instead you put up a video calling him an NPC and a grifter, and lumping him in with Charlie Kirk. But I will say this, if he does clarify his statements, and agrees with your interpretation, then I will unsubscribe from Drinker, and I'll make a video saying Drinker is trash, because that does ruin his credibility as a critic. But I just don't think that is the case. But what does the audience think? What do you think about Drinker's comments? Do you agree with my interpretation or YMS's?